Good afternoon and welcome to Pinhole Quilting. My name is Liz Holpin, and my husband Pete is just to the side of the camera, and we are basically at our showroom, and it's a lovely showroom here. We're surrounded by long arms, and I've got one in particular, the Moxie here. I'm going to do some demonstrating and examples of some of the things that you can do when you get into trouble. You don't want to get into trouble, that's not great. So I hope you enjoy what we're doing on Facebook Live today. We hope you find it useful. And if you do, don't forget to subscribe and click on like as well. And that's always appreciated. If you've got any questions, you can do so in the comments and we'll answer those as best we can. Quite often Pete zips away to answer your questions as we're filming this. It's a very, very noisy rainy day here in the Worcestershire countryside near Pershore. Not as beautiful as it can be in the summer, but at least we're appreciating the lighter nights, and we hope you are too. Hopefully we'll be able to get in the garden because it's going to be nice and lush out there with all this rain. Anyway, it's been a busy week. I've been up to the northeast. I had a lovely time seeing some long-standing customers, in particular hi to Liz, and I hope you're getting on well with your Sweet 16. Liz is very heavily involved in the Project Linus coordination for the northeast. And I will post some photos that I took of stacks of quilts. I mean, the house is pretty much, a room of it, or perhaps a little more, has been completely taken over by Project Linus coordinating. And Liz does a great job. So leaving less time for her to do her quilting. But I hope that the time we spent together, you'll feel more comfortable with your Sweet 16 and you'll be finishing that quilt. So Pete, have we got anybody?
Yes, and watching? First online today is Mari from Australia.
Oh, wow.
Who's very happy that the clocks were changing here yes. Because she can just about stay up late enough to watch us.
Absolutely. Hello, Darwin.
Hello, Darwin. Yes. Claire Shortland.
Hi, Claire. Hi.
Jenny Dodds.
Oh, hi, Jenny. That's good.
What else we got here? Pauline from Colchester. Pauline Roy-Moore.
Oh, yes.
Jean
hi,
in
Pauline.
Bournemouth.
With Moxie. And Jean in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Oh, Jean in Bournemouth. Is that
Jean Twycross.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, gosh. Hello, Jean.
Karen Vipond in Anglesey.
Yeah. And Karen's doing some great stuff on her machine, isn't she?
She is.
She's really...
Yeah, she's got Pro-Stitch Light for her machine.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Pro-Stitch Light with the Moxie.
Janice
it's brilliant.
Collett.
Hi, Janice. Hi.
And who else we got here? Glenys Davis, who says it's pouring down in Kent as well.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Glenys. This is a good time for you to get on with your creative stuff. Because Glenys works with Jan, doesn't she?
Yes. Alison Smith, who's a recent owner, says, lovely to be with you live, enjoying the colours behind you, Liz. Oh, yeah, you see, we have...
Isn't it gorgeous?
Just some of our 380 odd glide colours that we have in stock.
It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so lots of people.
Yeah.
Sorry if I've missed you.
Yep. Hello to everybody else. There we go. Blanket hello to everybody else. Thank you for watching either live when we can respond to questions and things you might have, or on catch up on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So, with no further ado, I was mentioning who I'd seen up in my northeast trip. So I mentioned Liz. But also Carol, who has one of these lovely machines, the Moxie, and Carol's been doing some fantastic quilting and has got on unbelievably well since she got her Moxie. So it was due a service, so I went up and serviced it, and it's nearly 7 million. I'm sure by today, since I left, Carol will have done at least 7 million stitches, which is fabulous. So it was great to see Carol, and she showed me some examples of the quilts that she's done, that are some charity quilts, but also I'm going to post those on Facebook. Then I went over to see Alan Tether in Hartlepool, Alan Tether Quilting. He's got a lovely shop there with his wife Amanda, and he's got a long arm, he's got an Avanti with Pro Stitcher. So he quilts for other people. So if you're up in the Hartlepool area, you can just you can park just across from the shop, because it's like a pedestrianised area, but it's not too far to walk. So you can park there and just hop across over the shop and say hi to Alan and Amanda. So yeah, I was servicing Alan's machine, and then I went over to see Joyce near the North York Moors, which was a lovely trip down, sort of skirted around Whitby. I've got a beautiful painting, original painting by someone of Whitby Harbour. Absolutely love it. and sort of Robin Hood's Bay. It's a lovely part of the country, and I just wish that I'd had longer to sort of stay up there. But it was lovely to meet Joyce, who's got a Moxie with Pro Stitcher Light. So hello to everybody again. I hope you had got everything done on my visit that you needed, and that everything's sewing really well, post-servicing, etc. And good luck, Joyce, with your Spider-Man quilt. You'll have to send me a picture when you've done it. Now, one of the things that happens from time to time, and I've had a few phone calls about this in the last week. I had one this morning. So it's something that isn't difficult to rectify. In fact, we cover it actually on the foundation workshop. It's to do with getting a thread jam. Now, when you get a thread jam on your domestic machine, you probably have a piece of fabric that's stuck under your foot, and you've got a bird's nest. And it's absolutely jammed to the point where you can't even move the quilt or what you're working on. Sometimes it's not a quilt, obviously, you might just be piecing and it's got a thread jam. So what do you do? What do you do? What you normally do is you're looking at your sewing machine like this, and you get the hand wheel and you sort of go, oh, need to get that loose. I'll just do this to the hand wheel. And unbeknownst to you, you are actually doing the official advice for what happens when you get a bird's nest, which is to rock the hand wheel, because it activates in the hook mechanism. There are cutters in the hook mechanism, and those cutters are designed exactly for this situation. So imagine you've got a whole load of thread stuck in the bobbin case area. What those cutters are going to do is it's probably jammed the hook, it stopped it from rotating, and you might even get an error message that comes up on the Moxie that says error message 21, and it has like a lightning bolt through it or something like that. And I'm just going to show you what a hook looks like. The thing about it is that with the Moxie, I've noticed this in particular with the Moxie, is that it has like an auto cutout to stop you damaging the motor, which is great, except you need to then rectify the problem, which is that you've got a bird's nest. So in order to proceed, you could just turn the power off and turn it back on again, but that most likely that won't solve your issue. So what you need to do is just the same as with your domestic machine. And if I'm standing at my domestic machine, sitting at my domestic machine, I'm probably sitting here, and I would do this to my hand wheel. And it's the same. It's exactly the same. So let me just show you the cutters, and then I'll go through exactly what you do. So this is a hook. All right, this is the hook assembly. It's a really beautiful, precision engineered piece of your sewing machine. The actual drive shaft goes in on this side. Can you see that okay, Pete?
Yep.
So the drive shaft goes in there. So if you imagine the machine is getting driven, and the hook actually rotates around in this direction. There are two parts to the hook, in essence. The one bit that's being driven around, that's the hook, goes around like this. And the hook is this very sharp pointy bit at the top, just this bit here. All right. And so this is rotating around. This what we call the basket that your bobbin case sits in, is held in place with a stop finger, which goes into that thing there. And it just holds it and stops it moving. It's slightly away from that hole. That's called the thread escapement. So that's being held in place, and the hook is rotating that way, like that. And that's what forms the stitch. If it gets thread jammed, these little cutters just inside here are the cutters. There's like little horizontal lines, and those are the cutters that are going to get activated by rocking that hand wheel. Imagine I was over there, I'm going to rock it towards me and back, towards me and back, towards me and back. You'll cut the threads, and then you can deal with those cut threads in the bobbin assembly.
I think it's worth clarifying, Liz, when we talk about bird's nests. Often you can get bird's nests that are nothing to do with a thread being caught up in the bobbin hook area.
True.
I think it's worth talking about that. So this isn't the solution to the fact you might get some little bird's nests in various places on your quilt. That's normally caused by excess top thread being dragged down into the bobbin assembly. Perhaps we want to talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, and I mean, just add in where you need, Pete, because I mean, where this normally goes wrong is if you focus on threading up. If we've got a nice pink thread on here, and it goes through a pre-tensioner, and we've got this glide going through 3 times, and then it goes through this, which is a guide to help it go through the tension assembly. Where things can go a little awry, particularly when people are new to the machine and haven't been on the foundation workshop, they don't really know where to start. But we test our machines, all of them, with glide. So actually, if you put glide thread on as your first thread, you shouldn't need to adjust it too much. Would you agree, Pete? Is that the case?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, the moxies we send out usually with some of the thread still attached, so that it's in fact in the
place.
right position,
Yeah.
and correctly threaded.
So what they do, and either Pete or Mark are doing the testing, is that they'll cut this off and they'll tape it down, right?
Yep.
And so you'll actually be able to follow that thread and just see how it is. So don't just immediately take that out. Have a look at it first, or at least take a picture. Now, what if you actually adjust your thread? This is a situation I saw this week, where someone had tightened this tension assembly so much that the thread would just not go in, and it was like this. It was just sitting on the outside of the tension discs. Now, if you try and sew like that, all it will do is just put a whole load. This is really easy. This like comes off like no problem at all, because it's not through the tension assembly, and it probably won't stay in there, or if it does get in there, it'll suddenly break because it's so tight. So you go from very, very loose to very, very tight. Nightmare. You're going to end up with a whole load of thread down here unless you do it properly. And properly in this case would mean adjusting and slackening off this tension until, and this is how I do the tension, I go from underneath, move the machine to the right hand side of the frame if you need to, and then you just see how it actually even makes a noise when you take it out. If you pull it up and literally floss it like you're flossing your teeth, then take the slack up so there's no excess thread over here. Now you can go around the tension spring and underneath what's called the stirrup and test the tension. Get used to feeling that tension. Even put your fingernails back inside the tension assembly to loosen it off. Pull it, should be really easy to pull, and then let go, and now it should be firm. So that's a really good test to see whether it's in the tension assembly.
So if it isn't, you'll get a lot of bird's nests all the time on the bottom of your quilt.
Yes.
So that tends to happen most with, I guess, customers who are newer to the machines. The other occasion when you get the occasional thread nest on the bottom of the quilt is when you do your tile stitches. Yes.
I can demonstrate that later when we do the demo.
But it's really important to hold the top thread when those initial tile stitches are being formed. If not, the top thread gets dragged down and forms a small bird's nest on the bottom. It does. Very, very occasionally your thread might twist and cause the same effect. Yes. It's less easy to rectify that at the time. Okay. So there's a distinction between thread nests and thread jam. Yeah, I mean, if you once you've got used to your machine and you are listening to it, you'll know if it's not a happy bunny. And in that case, you'll probably stop immediately. But when it's new for you and everything is new and you don't know the sound of the moxie and you spent all this money and you're kind of going, why is it not stitching? Then it's going to be a little bit more stressful and you're not going to know where to start. Well, this is the kind of thing you need to do. You need to just look at the threading and make sure that that tension assembly has got that thread flossed up inside it correctly. And if it hasn't, unthread it all and start again. I always say Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance, that is the thing. Just got to start from scratch. So Pete has created a right mess in here, haven't you, Pete? I'm quite good at that.
Yep. And he's asked me to fix it for him. So this is our demo. So we've got the foot and we've got the needle, okay? And I've got my 2.5mm Allen key, which enables me to change both of these. The foot is on a spring, but actually I need to remove it. And if I don't take the needle out, it's bound to catch my finger. So I'm going to remove both of those things. So let's just take this foot off. It goes all the way through. Take that off. And then there's a little Allen key hole in the middle of the thumb screw, which you need to slacken off so that you can then take the needle out. Now you need a flathead screwdriver. You can use a long one or a little stubby one. This isn't in your kit, but this sort of size, it's a number 4 screwdriver. As I said, I mean, you can use the long one. It'll just go up the side of the machine. It's perfectly fine. And just take off the needle plate. It's a good idea to clean this needle plate and underneath it and the hook assembly anyway every few months, and if you're using a cotton thread you might need to do it even more. Pete has done a proper job on this, as you can see. So here we've got, this is a black one. The one I showed you earlier was a silver hook and basket. This is not plastic, this is metal. And this is the stop finger, and what this does, as I said, is it stops this whole thing from rotating. So this just moves like this, and sometimes you hear that noise and it's just that moving backwards and forwards, but the actual hook is going around like so. So if I move this, you can see here's the hook.
Bring it back a bit. There. Yeah.
There's the hook, and it's coming round in this direction. So standing where Pete is, I'd be rotating it towards me. All right, now this is not good.
So
it's caught round. It's never going to stitch, and it's caught around this stop finger. I would take out the bobbin case first.
Oh, I have made a really good job of that.
He really did.
Yeah, excellent. You did ask me to mess it up.
I did, actually. Well,
so usually at this point, your machine will be jammed, and in the Moxie in particular, you'll get an error message. Now that error message comes up with a number, and it can show in different ways. Most of the error messages that come up on the Moxie screen mean you have got your bobbin thread, some thread caught in the bobbin area.
Yeah.
And that is always the first thing to check.
Now,
in this way.
Can you see? I think you might need to come from over this angle, actually, Pete. You can come around here.
Side? What's going on?
Yeah. So this is quite tight. And what's happened is the thread has got caught underneath there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this hook, and look, and by just rotating it, it freed it. But I could see much more clearly what was going on because I'd taken the stitch plate off, the needle plate off.
Now it's possible there might still be a few small bits of thread caught in there, so manually turn the hand wheel, as Liz is doing here, and just inspect.
And just look at all bits of it. Get your brush.
The tiniest bit of thread still caught in there can cause all sorts of problems.
So I'm just going to get an oiler and a brush and just show you. I would then just clean that out. It's a bit of fluff around here as well. If we'd been using anything other than Glide, it would probably be a bit more fluffy.
Incidentally, it's worth taking off your stitch plate like this every 3 to 6 months anyway. More so if you're using a very linty thread and cleaning out.
So one option when you've done this now, I would oil it, and I would put a drop of oil just here, like so, and then let that. Oh, look what we found.
Oh, look,
there's another piece of. I'm going to get my tweezers because Pete did really good job.
Demonstration actually, because this is a real life situation. Liz thought she had cleared all of the thread from that bobbin hook assembly, but by turning the hand wheel a few more times and putting some oil in there, it's released another piece of thread that was caught up. And you could be frustrated for hours thinking you'd cleared it all out, but with that thread still caught in there, you would not get your machine stitching properly. Look at that.
Wow, that is amazing. That really got caught. So yeah, And that didn't show up, did it, until I really moved it around? I didn't see it at all, and I was looking at various angles. So it was caught underneath here, but that's what happens. People think they've got all the thread out. You got to keep going. So it's possible to oil it here, but the more conventionally, we actually oil it at the bottom of the sort of shelf bit of this.
Yeah, difficult to see that.
Difficult to see,
Here.
but we have got other videos just here.
But if you've got a sit-down machine in particular, a Sweet 16 or a Capri, sometimes customers prefer to oil it from the top. It means that they have to take off the stitch plate like this, but actually it's easier then to see when you're oiling.
Then we can put that
There
back.
we go. So we think we've got all of the thread out of there now. We will find out as soon as we started stitching.
Yes. And if you had an error message, the best thing to do is turn it off and do all of these things and then turn it back on again. And whilst it's like this as well, you know, I'm just going to check out the wheels because it's off. Well, it's off our frame. If you do take it off the frame, just make sure you've got the side encoders back properly, or you haven't bent them in trying to take them off. You don't really need to take them off to do this at all. Okay, so then I'm going to, you know, just tighten that up and then put my bobbin case back in. So with the latch door to the right, you leave the latch door closed. Don't keep the latch door open because we need to hear a big click when it goes back in position, like so.
Just to pick up on one comment that I've seen here, it might not be the top thread that gets caught around the bobbin hook assembly. It might be the bobbin thread. That can happen if it comes off the bobbin. So the thread jam can equally be caused by bobbin thread. So in this case, we might not have seen pink thread caught in there, but we might have seen the bobbin colour thread.
Yeah. Right. Should we add anything else that we think is relevant? Let me just check.
No, I think that's the key thing. We've got this on a frame, so we can't really test it now, but the first thing you would do is to give it a test.
Yeah, just one other thing. When people have got not the Moxie or the Simply, but they've got an Avanti or an Amara, one Forte or a Fusion and an Infinity, you get a numeric readout for the tension. So if you have ended up really turning it and turning it and turning it, if you've made a note of the numbers previously, you should see that they're way out of line with what you'd expect. And that numeric readout is on the front of your screen, and it's in different positions depending on the machine, on the Sweet 16 as well. That numeric readout is individual to your machine unless you have an Infinity. So with the Infinity, that number is calibrated, and so they should all be very similar. Okay, I think that's in. Reduce numbers of area, stitch back. There we go. Done it all. I've told you everything I know. No, that's not true. So, Pete's going to say.
Can I just say a quick hello to our newest customer, Jill, who has this morning purchased a machine.
That's very exciting.
And
congratulations, Jill.
And it's the machine that Liz featured on the
email newsletter
today.
Yeah.
So the pre-loved Handi Quilter Avanti has now sold.
It has.
We had two pre-loved Avantis last year. They sold in one day, both of them. This one has taken 3 days, but Jill was the first person to come and see it.
Yeah.
And she has purchased it.
She has.
You snooze, you lose.
That's it. So, you know, some of these machines, I mean, as Pete always says to anybody who's inquiring about pre-loves, there is only one of that particular pre-love machine. You know, there's only one of that machine that's out there with X number of million stitches that's that age, etc. So, you know, some of them are extremely popular. So if you're looking for some of those machines, then you need to be quick off the mark, really. And if you're not sure, come for a showroom demonstration ahead so that you can narrow your decision-making criteria down, and you can do it remotely if necessary. We've had people reserve them over the phone and then come along and do a final try and confirm the sale.
So the next one that we'll be listing is this weekend, a Simply 16 on a 10-foot studio frame. So that's a really nice. Good combination. It's down in Somerset, and I'll be posting the details online this weekend.
And I think I'm right in saying it's got electromagnetic channel locks.
It's got some really good accessories, including electromagnetic channel
and quilting from the back.
Yes.
And groovy boards as well, I think.
Absolutely.
So Yeah, really nice. And to have that simply with a studio frame gives you lots of options. So as a result of that, I'm going to demonstrate an electromagnetic channel lock on our Amara. Now, the electromagnetic channel lock, oh, I was going to get some scissors.
Okay.
Okay, he's going to get me some scissors. So this is the brand new version of the Amara 20. It's got a slightly different screen, which we can show you in a moment. It's just a visual difference and a different decal. But apart from that, it's identical to our existing Amaras. So if anybody's bought one recently, it really is not different. So don't worry. The Amara that I've got here has got this optional electromagnetic channel lock on, which is just the best gadget ever. Honestly, I went to Salt Lake City to do some training a few years ago, and I was that person who, at every opportunity when the teacher said, "Does anybody want to have a go?" I would be there, jumping up like a little crazy thing, going, "Yes, please. I'd like to have a go. Yes, I'd like to have another go. Yes, can I do that, please?" Being very enthusiastic little person that I am. So what it does, I'll show you without stitching it, because obviously stitching makes a bit of a noise. It's got this device which has got 3 positions. We've got off in the middle, horizontal and vertical. When you press the switches, it activates an electromagnet which comes into contact with a steel plate. The steel plates are either affixed to the machine in that direction, so that's for your Y, or actually fixed to the frame for the X. So if I press this, I can only go up and down, so that's my Y, and if I do this, it can only go side to side. It is fantastically quick at changing directions, so we can do some really nice modern quilting designs, and we can do straight lines, obviously, really, really easily. So I'm just going to bring up this bobbin thread and show you the kind of thing that we can do. Great, Pete's got his scissors. On the Amara, we got a tie-off stitch, so I'll just do that, and then... So I'm just going to... I'll just go through settings. So it's on regulated, it's on cruise, or continuous, which means even when I stop, it's going to keep stitching. And the reason I want that is because I then get nice, precise corners. It doesn't drag the thread. So I'm going to put that at 175. Okay, and I'm going to hold this in my hand like so. So.
So Marianne in London says, "I love my electromagnetic channel locks.
Oh, fantastic. Hi, Marianne.
They're so handy for matchstick quilting."
They are.
Gosh, I wouldn't want to do matchstick quilting any other way, to be honest.
You can, I mean, you can do it with rulers,
I know you can
but
do it
it's...
with rulers, but in terms of the time it
Oh,
takes.
yeah. Check that out. There we go.
This system is available for all the machines apart from the Moxie.
Is it, we need lights on? Do we need
No.
lights on? No? You don't want lights on? I'll turn them down a bit. Just it's a bit bright, isn't it? And it is just, I mean, how much fun! I'll see you later. Love it. Do I need to talk about something else, or can I finish my quilt? This one. There we go. See, I've got to be camera person as well. Look at that. Just check that out. Yeah, it is brilliant, Anne. Absolutely brilliant. We loves it. We loves it. It's fantastic. So that is electromagnetic channel locks. If you like the electromagnetic channel locks, they fit on, we haven't got them for the Moxie though, have we, Pete? If you get Pro Stitcher Lite, effectively you can do something a little similar, but it's not quite as quick. And obviously you can do that kind of thing with rulers, but it's, you saw how quickly I did that. It's like bang, 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 bang. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We've got some new rulers, and one of the things I wanted to show today was those new rulers, and also the Echo Feet. Echo. So I'm going to just get my 2.5mm.
So, Anne, yes, you're coming over to see us for the class.
For the classes.
Paula in
yes.
April. Look forward to seeing you then. Yes, I'll put aside an electromagnetic channel lock.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
You'll love it. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Right, one of the ones we got is called the Paisley template. This is the Paisley template. All right. The other one we've got, these are new to us, Leafy, and Peace Out. This is very handy size, so really good for sort of doing little short lines, and we can put the foot, like the sure foot, in this here, so that we can use it as like a second hand, but down on the fabric instead of up here. So the Peace Out is pretty neat. It enables you to do almost, I mean, lots of different dimensions of curves, because curves are just a series of straight lines. So Paisley template, I'm going to put on an Echo foot to do this. So take it to the side.
Yeah, so Echo Feet come in a set of 3.
You do. 3/8, half, and 3/4, I believe. So changing the feet is really easy. With the plastic feet, you don't have to screw them down massively hard, because it goes all the way through to the back of the foot and holds it in place, and it should be nice and firm now.
So you've put smallest foot on there?
Yeah. So with this, I've probably got to go underneath it, because it's designed for the sure foot. And I'm just going to check that that works. Oh, I can't get into that bit. That's okay. But this just shows you.
This shows it's a different shape.
It's a different shape. Yeah. So with the sure foot, of course, you'd be able to go all the way in. So I'm going to stitch this and see what it looks like, and then I'm going to use the grid and show you how I might use it with the grid. I haven't put any of the Handi grip on here, so which is what I would do. I would put Handi grip on the underside, and that's like the sandpaper stuff that enables it to not move. Okay, so I'm going to stitch a little bit. I'm going to do 11 stitches per inch and cruise continuous with 75 stitches per minute. So this gives me 11 stitches per inch. This is the new format of the display. You can see that okay, yeah. And we've got either precision, which I stop, it stops. It'll only do 11 stitches per inch, or whatever you've got dialed up in here. Goes from 4 to 22. Or cruise continuous, which does the same thing in number of inches, stitches per inch, but it also has this other figure here, which means stitches per minute. And this is good for ruler work.
So for those of you with the Amara, this machine is just upgraded the way the screen looks. The functionality is identical.
Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to have a go with this.
So Sally, you liked my far from subtle little selling technique there of holding up the Echo Feet in front of the camera. Very good.
There we go. Is that what you did? Okay. I'm just going to trim that off. Then, once you've got your nice little Paisley
So Pauline, yes, we do sell the Handi Grip. If you go onto our site, handiquilter.co.uk, and type in Handi Grip, it'll pop up. So there's a little pack, costs £8, and there'll be enough in there for about 50 rulers. So
yeah, I think I've still got my original pack. Can I just do a few feathers? So if you wanted to do some continuous line quilting inside there, I'm going to go to 12 stitches per inch and between 200 and 250. And I'm just going to think about, before I do it, because I haven't done any warm-up, I would just think about what I'm going to do. So I'm probably going to do, so I'll just draw it because I literally haven't done any quilting today. You know what it's like. It's raining outside.
So you put the spine in first.
Put spine in, yeah. Do my little teardrop and then bounce back feathers. So bounce and back, etc. The alternative, oh, I've got broken my pencil. The alternative would have been to have done an outside feather here and gone like this and done them so that it went either side. That could have looked quite nice. Anyway, I won't do that. Just saying. Bounce back.
Here's another one for you, Sally. And for you, Pauline, in particular, there's the Handi Grip. It's a little pack with 12 strips of the Handi Grip tape inside. You cut pieces off and stick them to the back of your knee. Let's see if Liz is on form today. Here we go. Not bad at all. Look at that.
And that was with the Echo Feet on.
Oh yes, the visibility is not quite so good.
Not so good, hence that. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. That's all right.
Maggie, the pencil we're using is a Panda pencil. We sell those too. Packs of 4. £10.
So the nice thing about that Paisley is it's got the markings, and we were talking about this in the last Rulers, Feathers and Fills class, that the markings really do make a difference to the usability of a ruler, and I really like the Handi Quilter ones because people have thought about it. With this, you could, if you had the Surefoot on, you could pivot around this point. So I'm just going to draw this, but remember that this is actually, it's going to be 1/4 of an inch in from what I'm drawing here, because of course the needle is always 1/4 of an inch away. But you could use these lines to coordinate and basically place this ruler. Oops. I'm just going to give you an idea of what it's like. So each time you could just rotate it on that center part point and mark it out or stitch it out, etc. So you just go around, you'd have 8 of these, and that would look rather nice. So that's half of it, and you just keep going around. And where it overlaps, you could, maybe you just do that bit and make it look, oh, that's interesting. So I could do it so that I do that element there, and I do something different on this overlap. Just thinking. Okay. So the piece out, that's pretty obvious. We can do straight lines with that. We can do things like the sashing and stuff. We can do little curves. And with the leafy, I would definitely put the Surefoot on for this. But the nice thing is just having these straight lines means that you can, you know, for applique and stuff, it's got one with a point and one that's rounded. So leafy's lovely. Shall I just change the foot and just do a little Surefoot with that? I think I should. You know, when I was... you getting me a Surefoot, Pete?
Yeah.
Thank you. When I was up at Liz's up in Newcastle, her Sweet 16 is just, oh, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. and all I wanted to do was just quilt with it. It was such a nice machine. There we go. So this is the Surefoot. It's got a deeper profile than the regular foot. So all the machines come with a what's called a regular foot. We used to use it for rulers as well, but then they brought out a deeper foot, which makes it a lot safer for doing your ruler work. And we love it because giving people that confidence early on is really important. It's a very robust foot. On our YouTube, Linda Jackson did a very nice video on using the Surefoot. So you can check that out if you haven't seen it. Oh, I was going to mention about stopping and starting so you don't get blips underneath.
Oh, yes.
See, obviously that cup of tea's had its impact. And I'm actually remembering what I said I was going to do, which doesn't always happen. So stopping and starting, you might need to come in close for this, Pete. Would you be able to do that? Because I think it's important to see it more close up. So stopping and starting, I'm just going to do this here. So if I do needle down, needle up, and move away, there is a black bobbin thread there. I should have put a white bobbin thread in. And then I can do some tie-off stitches, just slightly moving it each time. Just hold those threads, but not tightly. You don't want it to pull up on that thread. Then you do whatever stitching you're going to do. You can cut off that thread after you've sewn 1 or 2 inches so that it's nice and secure. Or leave it long if you wish. So when you've done your feather or whatever you're doing and you want to tie off, you can come back along the line of stitching and with the needle in the up position, pull some extra thread from the cone. Don't pull up here. This is people sometimes try and pull at the bobbin thread at that point. No, you need to wait until you've created this loop by going away and coming back and then holding that loop with your left hand to be able to do a final needle down, needle up, where you did that final stitch. And now the distance for your bobbin thread for the next time, if you cut it now here, level with the quilt, is that long. Maybe you want it a bit longer so that you can find it and not be trying to sort it out and find the threads disappeared. So that's how you start and stop. And I hope that was useful.
So it's important you hold those threads so that they don't get dragged down when you're doing the picking up of the thread.
That's right. So needle down, needle up, bring that bobbin thread up and hold the threads.
Both those threads together. Both
threads. The black one you can't see, so you have to have a good imagination at this point. I'm just going to hold that thread, needle down. Okay, now I'm just going to do this leaf. So
might be worth just showing that again, this, because
needle up.
Unless you know how to put that ruler in place,
you've got a little slot. There are different types of rulers. Some don't have a slot, some have a jigsaw piece, and this has a slot. So with the needle up, we can put it through like this. So it's going to pass to the far side of the ruler foot, and then you can drop it into place.
So you have to lift it slightly above the level of the fabric so that it's at the knuckle. Excuse me, I need a drink.
Pete's had a really bad cough. If you need to, you can lift the hopping foot up and it should... Sorry everybody, he's going to have to take... You're going to turn your mic off, aren't you? As he dies slowly in the corner. Oh dear, it's not good. All right, so I'm just going to show how you can hold this. I tend to sort of use like an L shape for this kind of ruler so that my fingers are off the far side so that when I push against it, it doesn't slip, even though I've not got the handy grip on. Oh, and I'm going to take it back to the 75 and do 11 stitches per inch. And then around the top and back, and then you can rotate it if you wish. I wish. Just doing this a little bit random. Ah, there are some good markings on here actually. See, this is what happens. When you actually use a ruler, you see how to use it. This is the interesting thing about rulers. Once you've started using it, you get the feel for how to position it so that you get equal lines without having to mark the fabric. So what I'm doing is, there's actually a horizontal line on this petal, which I'm using to position it against the petal that I've just sewn here. There's other ones as well. Look, there's that one there and there's these. So these are the kind of guidelines that you can do so that you get a consistent overlap. So I'll position it, hold it back down there. Hold it like that. That's why when we do the classes, we say, you know, you just really need to play with rulers. I reckon there gets to a point when you've just done 2 or 3 times with a ruler and you start to understand what the markings actually mean. But until that point, you're kind of just getting used to it, get used to the hold of it. I'm just going to get rid of those thread ends because they are not in an ideal place. And I'm moving it around again. Oops, I went a bit off there. So this is going to be my practice one before I do the final piece, obviously. I don't think I've quite centered that. I think my center's a bit off. But that wouldn't be the final one, would it? This would be on my practice piece.
Nice.
Yeah. That organic shape. So I hadn't worked out how to use the ruler until I got round to this side. And if you look at the difference, this is the learning, right? By the time I got here, I knew how to do it without marking.
To get the even
spacing. But here I was still sort of working it out. So it just shows that, you know, you improve. And then I just kind of messed it up because I was trying to avoid the camera. Okay. If you haven't got a camera in your way, I think you'll find it a little easier. No excuses, eh? No excuses. This notch, people might wonder what this notch is for. I did mention that you can put the foot in it and then it can use as an extra little guide for when you're moving. I think Pete needs a locket. Yeah. Bless him, bless him. Now, what's the other thing we were going to talk about, Pete, was, we're going to see you at the Malvern Quilt Show. We hope we can see you at the Malvern Quilt Show. We look forward to seeing you at the Malvern Quilt Show, which is in the middle weekend of May and the Thursday and Friday just prior. It's the week after the lovely RHS Garden Show at Malvern. And yeah, it's right in the middle of the bank holidays, isn't it? So let me see, we're 2023, aren't we? So this will be my 29th year of Malvern. How about that?
How old are you?
I'm not older, no. I never told Pete my proper age. Yeah, no, I went when I was 5. Okay, so Malvern, we'll be there with a new machine, won't we? We're going to have the Amara 24, right? We're going to have the Amara 24.
Yes, arriving next week.
Arriving next week. That's exciting. So it's like this, only stretch. It's like your stretch limo version of the Amara 20. The other thing is what? What's the other thing, Pete?
New delivery of glide threads this week.
How could I forget? New delivery of glide threads.
These are some of the new colours. Unfortunately, Glide still haven't produced the new shade card with all these 96 new colours on, but that's kind of...
Shall I read these out? Oh, I love this. Paisley. That would have been good, wouldn't it?
Using the Paisley ruler. So
yeah.
I think that's a fabulous...
Oh, it's gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. That looked nice in our snug.
So I've just picked out a few of few of the really nice colours.
Arctic.
Arctic.
Beautiful. That's a really sort of like a blue with hints of purple in it, isn't it? But it's not so strong. Look, to compare Arctic to Paisley. Did you bring any greys? Because I was looking at the greys. Oh, look at these.
There are a lot of new greys though.
Oh, we haven't shown these. The new glide thread packs. We're going to show you the new glide thread packs as well. Crush.
That's a really nice colour.
It's beautiful. I dropped that one. Crush and I thought that said sherbet. 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 It's not quite like the sherbet I knew, but am I thinking of sherbet dip? Probably. Okay. Oh, look at these. I'm going to do 2 at a time. Shortbread and eggnog. Beautiful. Shortbread and eggnog. Then we've got blush and sun-kissed pea.
Peach. They ran out of space. The actual name is sun-kissed peach.
Peach.
When I first saw it, I thought, sun-kissed pea? What sort of plant is that?
I didn't want to look too confused, but I probably did.
Sun-kissed peach, I can understand. It looks very much like a sun-kissed peach.
It does.
But not like a sun-kissed pea.
You got a problem with your peas if your peas look like that. Right. We've got some...
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Eggnog. Dusty plum and sangria. Dusty plum, which has got more red in it. They're both kind of like reddy browns. And, oh, this is gorgeous. Pomegranate. Pomegranate and Oxford. All right.
I do say to people, be brave with your thread.
Be brave. Pete's always saying that. First kiss. First kiss.
It's a little bit meh.
It's been meh. It's beautiful. Getting light colours for quilting is really tough.
It is actually a really useful colour.
And we loved this when it came in, didn't we? Bagby green. I love the name. Bagby green.
Yeah.
And look at the subtlety of fawn. Those two go beautifully together, actually. Complex colours. More complex, which we love. So let's just show you some of our...
I'm not sure they're live yet, though, Liz, because...
Oh, because we haven't got pictures.
Because I haven't got pictures. I must do that this weekend. So...
Oh, but it's okay. So this is the... Right. Pete and I spent a lovely, I don't know, Sunday evening, a few Sundays back. That's what we do for relaxation, is name glide thread packs and decide what colours are going in them. So this is English Rose.
So as a reminder, these are packs of 9 that we pre-package, and there's a 20% discount for buying the pack, and you can see some of the...
Yeah. This is Southwold.
Southwold.
Yep. Then we've got Rajasthan. Yep. Steelworks.
Yep, so there's some of the greys. There's some really good greys.
There's some great greys.
Take it off.
This one is Allium. Thought that was good, that one.
Yeah,
we should, yeah. Yeah, we went to Chelsea one year, and it just made me think of Chelsea. Dartmouth. I rather like that, actually. I rather like that. Is that okay?
Yep.
Dartmouth. And Riviera. Beautiful. Wow. It's like a scrapbook of our holidays, isn't it? Bridesmaid. I love that. Just look at those subtle colours. Really pretty.
So what I'll do is to make these packs live, just in case you see one there that really takes your fancy. I'll make them live so that you can
we got more.
Order them, and then we'll add the photos as soon as we have them.
Hebrides. Hebrides.
On a good day, absolutely.
Yeah, well, we did that because of Mary Lou, didn't we? We made us think of you, Mary Lou. Thank you very much for the peanut brittle.
Oh, Mary Lou sent us more peanut brittle.
Gotta think of the waistline. I've been very reserved today, which is unusual for me. Woodland Glade. There's lots of greens and sort of more beige browns and things to play with. And this is beautiful. Oh, this is one that's a combination pack, isn't it? So this is Mermaid. This is
that's one that we already had.
It's one that we already had. Yeah. Mermaid. Love Mermaid. This one I did for Sharon, who lives locally, whose daughter was a mermaid in a previous life, I think.
There we are.
Like Sharon is. Water babies.
So yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
What's your favourite?
Oh, gotta look at the quilt. Gotta show Pauline's quilt.
Okay. What's your favourite? Come on.
My favourite. Love that.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Come on.
Yeah. It's absolutely stunning, that. What's yours?
I like that Oxford blue, actually. I think that's stunning.
The Oxford blue, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, we're going to show you a quilt now. This is a quilt that Pauline, who does our mail order, she's an Amara customer as well, but she's off on her holidays at the moment. She's in
Canada.
No, wrong side of the world.
Sorry, yes. She's not in Canada.
She's in New Zealand, isn't she? Or is she in Australia?
She's in Canada.
No.
Okay, maybe I'm mixing up. She only works for us. How would we know?
I'm sure she said New Zealand. Can't remember now. You confused me. Okay. Anyway, the lovely Combatant Quilters.
So Combatant is a village not far away from us. So
and this was made. It's called Cottage Garden. Look at this.
Forget to put labels on your
That's
quilts.
it. Piece by, and Pauline did this lovely label. There we go. Piece by Combatant Quilters. Pat, Janet, Marlene, Elaine, Anne, Sharon, Sandra, Pauline, Susan, and Ginny. And I have actually met up with the Combatant Quilters.
Shockingly,
doesn't happen very often.
3 of those 10 people don't have a Handi Quilter yet.
Yes, I know that. I know that Elaine really wants one. No, I think it's more than that. It's actually 1, Elaine, 2, Sandra hasn't got 1, 3, 4. 4 haven't got long arms. So out of every group in the UK, I reckon there's a higher percentage of long arms in the local quilt group than anywhere else. And what's the common denominator? Isn't that stunning?
It is a fantastic quilt, I think.
It's from an Adidas Star pattern.
Okay.
You see that?
Scan that, yeah.
It's going to be hanging up in our showroom. We are planning on hanging more quilts in here, but it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So beautifully done and beautifully quilted by Marlene, and that was with a glide thread.
Let's try and show some of the quilting.
Yeah,
it's really nice and quilted.
It's beautiful. So she's really sort of emphasised this sort of flower design, but then done lots of stippling around it, lots of ruler work, and the border has also got. This is imperfect for the channel lock, just saying.
So Marlene is a very good quilter.
This
is free motion.
Yep, free motion, not pro stitcher.
Just free motion and rulers.
Yep, that's right. And look, lovely little details like this. Oh, and there's lots on here actually. When you start to look at it, you realise. But I mean, I love the sunflowers, the little Dresden plate sunflower. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So well done to all of you for doing a beautiful quilt.
So what's happening to this quilt? We're displaying it for a while.
Pauline did tell me, but yeah, we're displaying it for a while. And when they come back, I believe it is getting it'll either be sold to raise funds for the group so they can buy more fabrics, or it'll go direct to someone as a charity quilt. I'm not sure which. I can't remember. Pauline, maybe you can comment if you're awake. Depending on whether you're in Canada, New Zealand or Australia. I do apologise for not remembering. It's been a busy couple of weeks, as you know. Okay, so that's it for this week of our Facebook Live. I've been yabbering away for at least an hour. I need to drink the rest of my tea, which should be cold by now. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I know I'm going to have a lot of fun this weekend, and Pete is too, aren't you? Yes, Pete will probably be working. I won't be working.
I'll be working. I've got to take some photos of those guys.
I'd rather be working. So have a fantastic weekend. Happy quilting, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye now.